It's going to be a continuation of what we did yesterday with the molding of the shark. I did want to show you guys a trick that I picked up from an artist overseas in Thailand. And what he does when he does plaster molding, I was in the habit of always using Vaseline to separate my molds, and he showed me a new and different way to approach this. So what I wanted to do was pass that knowledge along. As you know, yesterday Murph and I were molding up the shark, and what we were doing was just doing a plaster bandage of it. Now on this head, on the bottom part right here, Murph did a pretty good job. It's got a good thick mold part. I do have to fix one spot, but for the most part he did an excellent job. So I've got to fix one spot here, and then I will be able to move on to this other one. I wanted to use warm water, hoping that it would enhance the drying part of this mold. We've just got a loose piece right here at the edge, and then I'm going to put another layer on top of that to hold it down so it doesn't come off. Normally, when you want to do separate halves for a plaster bandage mold, what you would do is use some kind of release like Vaseline or whatnot to put it on there and then do the release. But what I'm seeing on this particular mold part here, to enhance the fact that I'm going to need to ensure that the teeth, which are on the undersides here, are securely held in the mold. So this is going to be a two-part where there's going to be a cap over the top of this. Now, like I said, in the past I've done Vaseline, where I would take Vaseline and smear it on here. But I've discovered that sometimes Vaseline adds more moisture to this plaster bandage, therefore it can weaken it. So the trick that this guy from Thailand showed me was, what you can do is just take simple plastic sheeting and put it over. I want to cut a big enough piece here. This is just standard sheeting from Walmart. And what I want to do is I want to lay this over the top of this at a point here, right around my edge, right here, and put that plastic wrap right there. What that's going to do is that's going to create a natural bond between the two, because I'm going to do a cap on this. It's not only going to cover the back, but it's going to come halfway across the top of the head. So what I want to do is ensure that this is not going to lock on here. So the first thing I'm going to do, move this plastic up a little bit, is I'm going to make a strip right down the middle, right here. And since that plastic lip is right there, I don't have to worry about it locking on. So I just put the plaster over the top of this and fold it back on the end a little bit, because I don't really want it to go all the way in there. So I take another piece and I'm going to put it right across the top, right here. The plastic's still laying over. And I'm just laying it down flat against. And that plastic is thin enough that it will allow the bandages to form to the mold without worrying about it slipping off and distorting and all that. Now I'm going to take a piece and lay it right over the top here on the end of the nose and make sure that plastic is bonded down right there. And it's going to enhance, it's going to stick to itself. So the plaster will stick to itself and form a jacket without having to worry about it being loose. That's the first time I'm doing this, but the reason I'm doing it is to try to enhance and show people a possible, potential different way of doing something. And I'm trying to keep the shop clean because I spent a couple of days out here going from ceiling to floor and cleaning it up. I've got so much clutter in here with materials and molds and all that I don't really have room to breathe sometimes. Now come across the back of here and go right over it, wrapping the top of the head down with the mold. And I've got enough plastic wrap that when this dries and gets done, all I have to do is lift the wrap and it pulls the top part off. So it serves as not only a protective barrier, but also a release mechanism between the two halves. I'm going to double it up again right here and make this a 4-layer, meaning it's doubled over bandages, so it's going to be 4 layers instead of 2, and be thick enough that it will stick on here. I don't know what the standard rule is for people that make plaster bandage molds, how many layers they put on there. Some people like 6. I may go 6 if I feel like I need it. This is a bigger part, so it may need 6. I just want to ensure that this is going to be a thick enough bandage mold to hold the inner half in securely without having to worry about slipping and sliding and all that while I'm pouring in resin and filling it with foam. I'll do this one more time right here just to make sure this is capped off, and it's just going to thicken up this head part. Now I don't have enough plastic bandage right down here on the side, so I'm going to have to do a wrap around the bottom for a minute right here with another piece of plastic. Just on the sides here so I don't accidentally lock it up. And then the slider doesn't want to work. There we go. The plastic, clean plastic sticks to itself, so I just need to ensure that this bottom part is not going to be exposed. So I'll put that on there so that bottom part of that plaster does not get attached to the top part of the plaster. I should just turn this and show you guys. It's two separate pieces of plastic right here covering that plaster. Come right down here, put your folded edges down on the bottom, and come right up to the top and blend that in right there and just smooth it out as close to it as you can get it, because this plastic, the plaster will harden. I'll try to keep an even lip between your sizes, what you lay over and what you lay over this way. You try to keep an even seam going. Because if there's any pressure between the two, sometimes the bandages will weaken and collapse. But you got to keep it, try to keep your torn ends on the inside. This part here that's torn and got strings on it, keep it on the inside. And you keep your folded edges on the outside. I'm trying to make a lip down here at the bottom where it will create a lip, and it'll fold around like so. I'm going to turn this a little bit. You guys can see the back of this as I'm doing it. Take this on the top. It still has plastic wrap right there. And pull it as tightly as I can across the top right here. Where it's against the shark or the mold, and still making a good tight seal on it. Now these layers overlapping each other are also adding strength to the under layers. And then I've got a little bit down here. I've got to take another piece of cling wrap and put it down there. On the bottom, and attach it to the cling wrap that's already on it to protect that side right there and keep it from not getting attached to the plaster that's already on there. little tutorial tips and tricks with plaster bandaging. And it being not really cold today, but it being cold weather, it's going to take quite a while for this bandage mold to dry out. I press that firmly in there, wrap it over the top, overlap it about 1/2 inch to 1 inch on top of your previous layer. And smooth it out all the way around so there's no seams, no gaps. It's all tight and smooth as you can get it. Right around the side there, same thing. Push it, fold it, mold it, caress it. That's just the underlayer. I'm going to go over it with another lengthwise and do a cross pattern with it. To try to get this a little bit tighter. I'll come up here, lay another bandage on top here along the front where I want it to lock in that side. And this will probably end up being a 6-fold mold. I wish I could pronounce the guy's name in Thailand that I learned this from, but it was a video. One of those YouTube, Facebook type videos that you see that you have. Now I've got my folded edge on the bottom and my tattered edge on top. So the tatters and all the weak points are on the inside, not the outside. That's what makes for mold strength, is you have all your stringy stuff on the inside and not the outside, because that's the weakest part of the bandage. And you want strength wherever applicable to your bandage wraps. That's why I fold these on the inside here and tear them. Wring it out, put another lengthwise piece right here. Overlapping, rubbing it in, getting a good tight fit on there. And that crisscross pattern going around and then down also ensures strength of a mold too, because it allows it to bond better and being a cross-hatch pattern. I'll take a weak piece, put the tip right here, and the tattered ends on the downside of the face, or the back of the head. And any loose plaster substance you have, rub it in as good as you can, but that also gives a nice smooth texture and helps smooth out the rough edges of the bandages as well, so they don't decide they want to jump up, get frayed, and come apart. And you do this for pretty much any mold you make that needs to be a two-piece. I think I'm going to start utilizing this more so than using Vaseline every time I need to make a two-piece mold. Because in going over some of my old molds the other day when I was cleaning them out, I noticed even dry and worn out, the places where I did the edges with Vaseline were not lumpy, but they were softer and weaker than, after time. So essentially I would have to remold, but you want to ensure that your mold has as much strength and durability as possible. So any extra moisture that you accumulate is likely to weaken the mold. Well, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can just smooth it out best as you can, but you do want it laying down as flat as you can get it. And as smooth as you can get it. So I'm going to put another piece to lay over that piece in the same pattern. It's already starting to warm up. That's the one thing about medical grade bandages. When they get wet and they start drying out, they'll heat up because this has ultracal in it, and when it's activated by water, I use cold water to have longer working time with things like that. So you can take your time, make sure you do it right. And I got this bandage that wants to act up on me. Pull this around to the side just a little bit more. We'll work this other side a bit better. Well, I know one thing, this nose part is going to be the strongest part of it all. Because I've already laid probably about 6 to 8 layers on here, doubled up. That's what I want, because if I have to do a pour and whatnot, the nose part is going to be the part that's going to be down in the bucket, and it's going to be the part that's going to have the most pressure put on it. So it's going to need to be the strongest part as well. All right, I'm going to do 2 more wraps. I'm going to wrap one around the bottom, and then I'm going to do a small wrap around the top. I'm going to come back around here from this side and do a wrap on the bottom. I've got my weak end right here. To ensure that it doesn't fall apart with the weight. Hoping as I find them, I can do more tutorial tips and tricks for the YouTube channel. So if you guys happen to like what you see, hit that like and subscribe button, please. Because it does, every little bit makes a difference. One more bandage right there and then I'll be finished. That does not taste good. Ah, it's nasty. Not like raw cookie dough, I can tell you that much. Nothing's better than raw cookie dough, I'll tell you that much, sir. Sometimes you get clumps in your plaster while you're molding it. It'll be dry plaster, get on your hands. It's advisable to have a bucket, separate bucket of water, so you can wash your hands and get it off. And don't worry about reapplying dry, cracked plaster to your mold. Sometimes I'll just take some wet plaster, rub it all over the mold just to add to it, smooth it out. Will not hurt it. It'll add to it because it'll dry and it'll strengthen it. I want to make sure all these seams are pushed in and not showing at all. Don't have any wet plaster in here because it's already drying out, but rub a little water on there and make sure all these things are good. I don't worry about strings and stuff on the mold. The little stringy parts that come out, because I can clip them and cut them when they're dry. Don't tear them, because if you pull them, you'll weaken the bandage. So wait till it dries and then cut all your strings. If you want to. Don't have to, but they're not going to hurt anything. All right. And I think that's it. And take a little water around on your hands and clean up. Do not wash your hands in the sink. The stuff will go down your drain and it will clog and it will harden. And it will clog up your sinks or your bathtubs. So do not use the stuff in, do not dispose of the stuff. I dump mine outside in the woods in the back. It's biodegradable, but it's not flushable. There we go. That's it. That's a little quick tutorial on protecting the mold from locking without using any mold release and or Vaseline or wax. And there we go. It's already starting to harden. But being it's cold weather, it's going to be a while before it's durable enough to pull it away. But all I have to do is take this plastic, fold it back over like that, and just when it's hard, pull, and it pops right off. So there you go. and done. Let's take that plastic bandage and lay it out like that. That way when it dries and you're ready to release it, and you go to pull this, if I go to pull this, all I got to do is pull this back, and it'll release the suction that this creates between. It also creates a suction barrier between the two pieces. The pieces under here that's encased in here, and then I've overlaid that about halfway, a little bit more than halfway on the mold. That way, when I put them together, I have a complete outer mold, and then that inner mold fits like a key, and it just like that. So when I put the sleeve in there, I can tuck the sleeve in there, and it'll lock in. Then I can slush it around and not have to worry about it slipping and flopping and doing all that. All right? So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Once again, if you like what you see, please hit the like and subscribe button on the YouTube channel. And it's very much appreciated. We will see you on the next one. Thank you.